In today's video, I will show you how I restored this 1968 Barbie Extravaganza gown. I was fortunate enough to get the gown when I purchased a lot of Barbie clothes. The gown had a number of challenges, beginning with one strap needing to be reattached on one side, then one princess seam needing to be resewn. Then there was the middle portion of the strap, which also needed to be sewn back down. However, the biggest challenge was the tulle, which was torn in several places, starting at the top, then the bottom, and completely ripped open in the back. If it was even possible to mend the tulle, I would have, but as you can see, it wasn't. So it was removed from the gown and replaced with this beautiful glittery tulle. I began by cutting a piece of tulle to cover the gown, the first layer, then a second would lay over it to add fullness to the gown. The tulle was then cut at an angle for both sides to cover the top and the sides of the gown. The first layer of the tulle was laid over the gown to see how it looked. The first layer was then machine stitched at the neckline. Beginning underneath the zipper, a straight seam was sewn down the back, then the seam allowance pinked. The tulle was then turned out. I cut the organza flowers off the bottom and I attached it to the new tulle. So I didn't want to do it that way, but I didn't have any other way to do it. So I just trimmed that off. I went back and I recovered the dress with a new tulle, because the other tulle, as I was putting the flat back rhinestones on, glue was getting on the dress, and I had to end up going in and taking some alcohol and cleaning all of that off. So it was all over the dress here. So when I put new rhinestones on the dress, I'm going to have to wrap this part of the dress in paper towels to prevent that from happening. So I just took off this bottom piece and I took off the top piece and just put new tulle on. Now I made this just a little bit wider on the sides and a little longer on the bottom, and I'll explain why I did that in a moment. And then I just went around and I machine stitched all the way around. And the first layer I hand stitched, but on the top layer I machine stitched. So what I've done here is from that original tulle top, I just cut the bottom layer off and I reattached it, or rather I attached it to the new portion, and this part right here is just as long as the one under on the second tooling. So what I've done is I've turned it under and I've pinned it in places, and I'm going to pin this here, pin this down. And I was going to hand stitch this, but I thought what I would do is, and let me show you this, is this is some pink elastic that I got some time ago. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of this, and I've got a piece here, a little shorter piece here, and I'm going to cut some of this here. But what I thought I would do is turn this under, just like I've done with the other here, and to attach the two, and then take this elastic and take that all the way around, and I'm going to sew close to the edge here. And right after I have machine stitched this on here, I thought about just hand sewing this here, so basically just whip stitching. And then what I did too is I hand stitched around the zipper. Originally I machine stitched around the zipper, but I decided to just hand stitch this down, and it actually looks a whole lot better. But yeah, so everything is looking pretty good. And then also one other thing, when I took both of the toolings off, I noticed that on one side of the dress it was a bit open, so I had to go in and I had to restitch that. It's actually on this side here. So I went in and I restitched that, I hand stitched it. So everything just really came out pretty nice. So after I finish with the work on the bottom of the dress, put the rhinestones on, and then the dress will be completed. For this portion of the project, 2mm pink flat back rhinestones, a rhinestone applicator, and E6000 were used. Before applying the rhinestones to the tulle, I wrapped the gown in paper towels to protect it from the glue. While delicately removing the paper towels from the gown, I also had to be careful not to rip the tulle or pull off the rhinestones. And here's CoCo wearing the Extravaganza gown. Doesn't she look incredible? CoCo's Fascinator was made using an original organza flower purchased online. The leaves were cut from felt, and the crown was made from leftover tulle. All were then sewn on a 3-inch wide piece of 1/4 inch elastic. And here's a closer look at the Fascinator. I purchased 2 original organza flowers from another extravaganza gown from a seller. The original plan was to attach the flower from the Fascinator to the neckline of the gown and using it as a corsage. As for the smaller flower, it was sewn to the bottom of the gown. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and in the meantime, I'd like to thank you again for watching, and wherever you are in the world, be good to yourself and to others.